Hello and welcome to Angela the Narrator. Now, this is my brand new venture as far as letting the world know something about me. Um, so, I narrate stories. I narrate stories that move me. Um, I thought it was interesting. I was at the store the other day and I saw this book. Now, the color caught my eye. It's more like an azure blue with bright pink on it, yeah? And I saw this book and I said, oh, well, this is lovely. I picked it up and I read the synopsis. Now, mind you, I'm standing in the middle of the store, but not in the middle of the store, but where I got the book from, and that's where I'm standing. And I picked up the book and I flipped it over, and the name of the book is called Miss Lattimore's Letter. I flipped it over and it says, "The woman who never made a match of her own is making matches for everyone else in this hilarious Regency era comedy of manners." And I was like, oh, well, tell me more. And it says, Sophronia Lattimore had her romantic dreams destroyed years ago and is resigned to her role as chaperone for her cousin. Still, she cannot sit idly by when she becomes aware that a gentleman is about to propose to the wrong woman. She sends him an anonymous letter that is soon the talk of the town, particularly when her advice proves to be correct. Her identity is discovered, and Sophie, formerly a wallflower, becomes sought after for her expert matchmaking skills. One person who seeks her out is the eligible and attractive Sir Edmund Winslow. As Sophie assists Sir Edmund in his pursuit of a wife, she wishes she could recommend herself as his bride. However, she vows to remain uninvolved while aiding him in his search, especially since the gentleman surely does not return her affections. But when her long lost love and Sir Edmund both seem to be interested in courting her, Sophie can't figure out if she's headed for another broken heart or for the altar. How can she be expected to help other people sort out their romantic lives when her own is such a disaster? Now, when I read that, I said, well, so I had to buy the book. And who is the author of this book? The author is Suzanne Allain. She's also the author of Mr. Malcolm's List. Oh, dearie mine. It seems like I'll have to go get the other one. Now, her books are already narrated, but um, I'm not moved by such things because I'm not sharing an excerpt with you for monetary gain. You see, I just love storytelling. There's just something brilliant about it. Um, and so don't come for me. I'm just paying homage to a great piece of literary work. And if you have a suggestion for a book that you want me to narrate, well, click on the link in my link tree and hire me. All of the samples that I've done on Audible are there. Um, but I just love narrating, you understand? And it is a beautiful thing. So let's see what some people have to say about Miss Lattimore's letter before I read you that chapter. It says, Suzanne Allain delivers a fresh and spirited take on the classic Regency romp. Mr. Malcolm's List is a delightful tale that perfectly illustrates the enduring appeal of the Regency romance. It's all here. The fast, witty banter, the elegant ballrooms, the quirky characters, the charming, strong-willed heroine, and the dashing hero who has a thing or two to learn about love. That's from the New York Times best-selling author Amanda Quick. Oh, you know I love her work. But that was from Mr. Malcolm's List, which only goes to show you she has set a precedent, you know. She has definitely set a precedent for the type of work she writes. And me, I grew up on historical romance novels. Yeah, especially the Scottish Highlands. There was always just something beautiful about it, you know? Anyway, without further ado, and because I'm not, what's the word? I'm not working. I'm actually, this is how I narrate. When I get a project, it's a cold read. I don't read the book. It's the synopsis that moves me. If the synopsis moves me, then I can pretty much well gauge what my attitude has to be in that book. Pardon me, from the main characters to supporting, all of those things. Just from the synopsis. So if you can't catch me with the synopsis, they say, oh, never judge a book by its cover. I'm not judging the book by its cover. I'm reading the synopsis. If you can tell me on the back end of your book what's going on the inside and capture my attention, well then, then I will read it. Chapter 1. Miss Lattimore's Lover. You see? Just the fact of the book is so, I'm so enamored by it. I'm already thinking Lady Chatterley's lover, but it is Miss Lattimore's letter. See, that's what happens when you narrate on the fly. There's no, ooh, cut and paste and fix it. No. Now you get to see where the real work is. When you want someone to narrate your project, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, there's a lot that goes into bringing things off the page and to life for the reader. Well, let's hope I can do that for you now, shall we? Let's hope my glasses are nice and crisp and clean so I can see that page. Here we go. Chapter 1. Miss Lattimore's Letter. It had been many years since Sophronia Lattimore had used her fan as a means of flirtatious communication. As a poor relation of 8 and 20, she was now too firmly ensconced amongst the chaperones to try to attract a gentleman's attention. But if one had noticed the frantic waving of her fan, he could have no doubt of the message it was sending. Sophie was desperately overheated, and she was not the only lady so afflicted. Odors of perfume and perspiration mingled in the warm air, causing Sophie to feel so stifled, she determined she must escape into the cool night if she were to maintain consciousness. Thankfully, her cousin had just joined a set, so Sophie had some time before Cecilia would be looking for her. She made her way around the perimeter of the overcrowded ballroom toward the French doors she'd espied across the room, and went through them onto a narrow balcony. She walked to the opposite end, away from the light of the ballroom, and took in some brisk, refreshing breaths. Lost in quiet contemplation of the night sky, she was startled when a couple came out of the ballroom onto the balcony. Before she could make her presence known, as she still stood in the shadows and they had not noticed her, they hurried into speech. "What exactly are you about, Priscilla?" the gentleman asked. "I don't know what you mean." "Do not play games with me. It's quite obvious you're encouraging Lord Fitzwalter's suit. Do your promises mean nothing?" "Of course they do. And you will always have my heart." "Charles, you must believe that." "But I was only taking my few feelings into account." Blah. "But I was only taking my own feelings into account, and I've since come to understand my family must be considered as well." She put her hands in a pleading gesture. "Please, Charles, you cannot hold me to those promises. I was too young." "Or you've begun to envision yourself a countess." "You must realize I never expected or even desired to capture his notice. But now that I have, my mother, what's the use of speaking? You cannot possibly understand." "I think I understand all too clearly." The gentleman turned and left. The lady whom Sophie had recognized as Miss Priscilla Hammond followed a moment later. Alone on the balcony, Sophie reflected on what she'd unintentionally heard. Miss Hammond's first London season had been an indubitable success, with Lord Fitzwalter at the forefront of the numerous gentlemen paying her court. And that's where I will leave you. You see, if I were recording this book, yes, I would go back and take out things and edit, so on and so forth. But as I mentioned before, there is an art to being able to read cold. Definitely, there is an art to it. And I trust that you enjoyed that. I will set a schedule where I will come on and read certain snippets. And as per usual, I will link below the book on Amazon so that you can have access to it to go and get it for yourself. Yes? And if you have a suggestion for a book you'd like narrated, or if you would like to hire me, you can drop a comment below, or you can click on the link tree in the description and let me know what project you desire to have narrated, or you just want to hear what it would sound like. you know, what I tell people, because I know lots of people prefer to have a book read to them. Sure. If that's you, the link's in the description under Hire Me, and let's take it from there. No time for shame. Shame does not pay bills, but my voice does. And if you're listening to this and you have an audio drama that you would like me to voice act in, oh, why, call me. My link is in the description. For sure. I love lots of things. Let me know. And I look forward to being on here again and sharing a live stream. I will eventually link my Instagram on there because I do have more live readings, off the fly. And I look forward to meeting up with you again. Much love to you all, and happy reading, or happy being reading. Pardon me, happy being read to. That's what it is. I love you.